Yo, so welcome back to me and Apex, but well, me and every single weapon in Apex. Yep, that's right, it's tier list time. Me and my boy here, Reco, who is an ex-pro and obviously a pred as well, are going to be going through every weapon in the game, giving you our insights on them and ranking them for you, so you guys can help decide what are the best guns to use and what are the not so good guns to use. You know, any questions you got, might answer it. It's pretty cool. Sit back, guys, and enjoy.
The other one's cracked too. I'm pushing.
I'm coming.
The armor swap dead anyways, bitch. I'll go res.
I ain't slept in months, y'all. I so red I can't see what's real. Roll me up a blunt, dog.
Alright, so let's do it. Let's get straight into it. First gun, the R301. Everyone's favorite gun, the easiest gun to use in the game. What are your thoughts on it?
I'm probably gonna tuck it in either at A or B, but main thing is, like, overall, it's a pretty easy gun to use. But the DPS, if you compare it to a couple, well, the other AR in the game, obviously, Flatline, I definitely put it as solid A. Everyone likes it, but its skill cap is like pretty low compared to the other AR. Flatline.
I 100%, I agree.
It's out DPS everything.
It's the easiest gun in the game, yeah? Would you be happy to say that? Would you reckon it's the easiest gun in the game to use?
Yeah, confidently easiest gun in the game, definitely.
I agree completely.
Definitely A tier.
Is it A tier? Alright, perfect. Now we go into everyone's other favorite gun, the R99. Especially with the, the add of the Vault a few seasons ago, now with the car being added to the game, has that affected how good the R9 is, or what are your thoughts there?
I'm an R9 monkey, so I'm just going to put that in S tier, definitely. However, it comes down to recoil control. If you are not that good with recoil control, since they changed the recoil on the R9, a lot of people can't as consistent with it over medium range. So initially, the R9
How'd they change the recoil exactly? And when was that?
Initially, it was, oh my god, it would have been back...
It was a while ago they changed it, wasn't it?
It was a while ago,
yeah,
like
it was
back in Season 3. So for ages now, a lot of people have really just used it close range. But if you're good at controlling,
you can still use that medium to long
bruiser
range for sure, dude. You can 100%.
You definitely can. You chuck it 2 times on that, and you'll beam with it. I would put it S tier, but if we're being honest, I think A tier would be better. Just
I agree. I
simply
think it has to be
because
A tier overall. Yeah.
Yeah, it has to be A tier overall. It's a personal favorite, but it definitely, if we're being fair, it's definitely only A tier in that regard.
Do you think like the addition of like the car that we're about to get to soon has decreased how good the R9 is, or do you reckon the ease of using compared to how the car's a little bit harder to use?
Yeah, the car's a little bit harder to use. To my knowledge, the DPS is not that much higher on the car.
The car's is a little bit higher, but it's not much higher. And I guess the R9 offers it's very small amount higher. Yeah. I guess the R9 offers you more like medium range to longer range as well compared to the car, for example.
Yeah, obviously the car's got the benefit of having light and heavy ammo, so really it kind of comes down to preference to that degree. If you're trying to maximize your damage and your overall playability with a gun, you'd probably go with a car, because obviously with an SMG, most of the time you're going to be using it close
range, exactly.
Like most players. So overall, you could even, with that logic, I think you could even drop R9 to B and then put car on A. Simply for that reason, because
honestly, I'm down for that. I think since the addition of like the car and the Vault to the game, etc., it's definitely taken away from the R9 a bit. The R9 used to be the go-to gun. Everyone used to use it, but ever since the Vault and the car is now added, you can definitely look at using those over the R9 for sure. I think the R9 definitely moves down to B tier. It's like a B plus tier though, almost A in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely, 100% agreed.
Alright, well, what about the compound bow? Recently added to the game a few seasons ago, was ridiculously broken, ridiculously strong when added, but it got a big nerf, and now you don't really see anyone using it.
Yeah, you don't see many people using it, but for example, if you have a look at Mandy in EU, he spams that
shit. He uses it so much, it's actually crazy, but he's literally the only person I know that uses it.
Exactly. He's the only person that uses it. Now, most of the guns in Apex, you can pretty much say, you hit your shots, you're pretty much always going to guarantee damage. So almost every gun is usable to a degree, of course. But I will say the compound bow is probably one of the best poke weapons. But it's not used a lot. There's potentially a skill gap there. I personally don't find it that hard to use, but a lot of people do, I guess.
I say that. I'm personally one of the people that find it harder to use. I never use the bow. I fucking hate it. But
if you're including the hop-ups into it...
With Shadowcaps, because Shadowcaps is actually... at close range, if you have it and if you use it, isn't too bad. But I think Deadeye is definitely the one that's good on the
I think Deadeye is the one that's good, because that literally makes a difference between being able to drop someone and just getting a normal crack.
Damage them. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, exactly. The other advantage it has is obviously you can ADS it and you just move faster compared to like a lot of the other...
It's got really fast movement speed. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so you compare that to probably its biggest competitor, I'd say the Longbow, in terms of just poking. It's got that advantage of the strafe speed, so you eventually, you just take less damage. So I would say say it's probably one of the highest skill gap weapons overall. I think simply after the nerf and because of the lack of ability to get Deadeye like consistently, I'd probably put it in a B tier. If you're trying to use it in close quarters, like probably one of the worst guns to have close quarters. You can definitely do work with it if you hit a headshot, but if we're just talking about overall usability consistency, you're not going to hit a headshot close quarters all the time. You can't be that confident in yourself.
Is it the C tier weapon then? Do you reckon?
I'm gonna if we're incorporating close range, definitely C tier.
C tier.
It's just
I agree with that completely.
Because like if
it has its spot where you can use it for sure, but overall it's not that great of a weapon.
Niche, very
100%.
niche.
All right, well, newest weapon to the game, the gun that everyone's finding ridiculously hard to use, but everyone's loving at the same time. It's got ridiculously good hip fire. It's really strong at close range. It's got the fastest time to kill, highest DPS of all SMGs, and it has the ability to use both heavy and light. The Car SMG, the Titanfall favorite. What are your thoughts?
If we're just going based off statistics and not just using it, so obviously the recoil comes into it, I would put it S tier for its reason, like for its overall usability. The fact that you can use light and heavy ammo too.
A lot of people won't think too much into that. When you look at like the higher tier levels, like comp level, the ability to use both ammo types is huge. It's like, it changes the game.
And also the fact that you can also use 2 different attachment types as well.
The heavy and light mags,
or a heavy mag as well. Just it splits it up a little bit more. So you got someone with a light gun, you swap over, get a heavy mag, etc. That generally helps. I'd say the main thing with the car, its bullet travel time is a bit weird compared to the other guns. It's probably closer to, like, say, the Volt, Havoc, and all the energy guns. It's kind of in that sort of line in terms of the bullet travel time. That can freak people out a little bit. But overall, the gun skill cap's pretty high.
I agree.
Because of the recoil, etc. But at the same time, with the gun skill cap being high, it's obviously got a lot of benefits. And I would either put it A tier or S tier.
I think I'm going to put it high A tier at the moment, because I think when you go S tier is like the gun that's just the absolute best gun. I'm sure we'll get to it soon. It's going to be the Kraber, I think. Exactly. But I think the car is going to be like high A tier for sure at the moment.
Definitely.
Devotion. It's an interesting gun because I feel like once you get, the turbocharger, for example, it turns into
is
arguably the best gun in the game. But without the turbocharger, is it still a good gun?
If you're ready to pre-fire it, definitely. But I feel
if you're playing against someone who's decent and can't pre-fire it, you're kind of fucked.
Yeah, I feel like you're just gonna get out DPS, like especially if you're close quarters. Let's say, I don't know, an R9 for example, or a car. Or literally any of the shotguns. Well, maybe not any. The EVA 8 will probably hit, obviously. But Devotion close quarters is risky, because if you mess it up and you don't just hold left click, it's going to be hard. And if someone's just angle peeking you, you can't really get the damage on, because it's going to wait for you to stop shooting, and then you've got to build it up again. Turbocharger obviously negates that fact, but most of the time you don't get a turbocharger.
Yeah, they're really rare and hard to get.
And let alone the energy ammo as well. But half the time, energy ammo is kind of hard to get. Admittedly, with the crafting changes, though, with ammo.
Yeah, the crafting changer was actually really nice now that you can get a whole stack out of crafting. It was really good.
So that is not too much of a factor anymore. I think overall, just in terms of usage, in terms of energy consumption, needing a turbocharger as well, and half the time as well, you're going to be bubble fighting in the higher level games a lot more.
Yep, 100%.
And it's good to a degree, but you're just going to run out eventually, and a well-timed Mastiff shot or a PK shot is just going to outdo it. Long range, recoil control, it could be a good beamer weapon for sure, but that build-up time kind of stops the peaking. So it's hard to actually get consistent long-range damage. So
are we thinking like B tier then, or where do you reckon it sits?
I reckon B tier, simply because if you get the turbocharger, it's insane.
Yeah, no, 100%. Alright, so the gun that recently got a change. This for the last, I think, like 2 seasons or so, it's literally been dominating the game. It's been probably one of the most unfun weapons to use in that of the EVA 8. But now they changed it, so I think each pellet only does 6 damage instead of, I think it was maybe 8 beforehand. It's definitely dropped down the rankings of shotguns, at least in my eyes anyway, to arguably possibly the worst shotgun, maybe a little bit better than the Mozam still. But what do you think?
I definitely agree with you in that as a whole. Like, the first change they did, obviously they nerfed the fire rate, and then they just ruined the damage nerf. That was a really big kick in the nuts for EVA.
100%.
It definitely doesn't hit anywhere near as hard as it did before. I still think it's usable.
I think it's usable as well.
For example,
I think it's the most forgiving shotgun as well, I guess, just because of the spread's a little bit larger, it's easier to use, you can still shoot it relatively fast.
It really suits its place now, I find. So, those more sort of open fights, not a lot of cover, even the close quarters ones to a degree, but as a shotgun, I feel like its place is more solidified in that open area fighting now. It's no longer just, cool, it literally just kills everything.
Yeah, 100%.
DPS is just insane, and arguably even its pellet range for a little while, you could almost finish off kills at mid-range just by spamming it.
Yeah, 100%. Now you can't do that anymore at all.
You can't do that, yeah. It's almost, like, well, not impossible.
I personally, looking at it, I just genuinely think the Mastiff and PK is so much better shotguns now. If you're going to be running a shotgun, you 100% want to run one of those two.
I'd probably
Especially
put it.
especially if you're on Gibby, for example. Like, you used to be able to get away with running, Eva on Gibby. Still wasn't the best, but you used to be able to get away with it. Now you just can't do it at all.
100%.
So
I'd
where are you
probably put it
thinking?
C tier overall
C
now.
tier? I was thinking the same. I think it's
Yeah.
like a high C tier though.
Yeah, it's a high C tier going to B tier. You get a purple bolt on that thing, and it's still going to kill people
Yeah.
for sure.
But if we
Like,
look
it's
back,
definitely
like
not
if we looked
the
back
worst
one
gun.
season, this was definitely like an A tier, high A tier gun, without a doubt. It
Literally,
was so good.
You rarely found anyone not running it because
Exactly.
it was just ridiculous. So yeah, definitely C tier.
Alright, now my favorite gun in the game, the Flatline. It's got a little bit of recoil to it, but not much compared to other games, but it's one of the higher recoil guns in Apex itself. It's got extremely good hipfire. It's got high headshot multiplier, big mag size. What are your thoughts?
I think easily A tier, at least.
I agree.
At the moment, a Flatline is incredibly strong to the point that if we were doing it on base guns and we weren't including obviously Kraber, etc., I would put it S tier. I think
I agree
I'll put it
completely.
literally
Without
in
like
front of
Kraber
the
and care
RPO
package and
1A.
airline weapons, I think it's the best gun in the game in my eyes.
Yeah,
without airline
exactly.
weapons.
I would put it in front of the R301 easily because it's got so much room to improve. Like with it, if you use it and you get used to the recoil, the damage on that thing is insane.
It's
and
so
also
much
the
higher than the
hipfire for
cutaway.
close quarters is really good.
Oh, it's
like
it's
really
so good.
accurate
It's
close
so
quarters.
good. Yeah, legit.
And just overall, it's also a really rewarding gun to use.
Oh,
Not
it
many people
feels
can
so
actually
nice when
pull
you
it
get
off
one clip with an
consistently.
example. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, definitely. And ammo efficiency, heavy ammo, it doesn't shoot that much ammo like overall because obviously the fire rate's not too high.
I guess
You
the
don't
thing
need
you
a
got to
barrel
look at with it as
stabilizer.
well. Yeah, no barrel stabilizer. I was going to go towards attachments. So with the R3, it's pretty desperate to get a light mag. It's still usable. Without a light mag, it feels pretty bad. But a flatline without a
100%.
mag, well, you obviously want a mag on it. 20 bullets is still a lot of bullets to have in a flatline.
Yeah, no, 100%. Especially just the per damage bullet, as you said, the headshot multiplier, the stats of the weapon are just cut above the rest, in my opinion.
Yeah, I honestly can't believe it hasn't got a small nerf to like its either headshot multiplier or just like hip fire even,
definitely.
or its mag size. Like, yeah. But so are we saying high A tier then, but above the R301?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, I agree with that. Alright, so this goes back towards the devotion a little bit now with the Havoc. It's had its season a few seasons ago. I think it was like season 4, season 5 when it was the most broken gun in like almost like the history of Apex. The thing was the biggest beam even at like 200 meters. It was absolutely stupid. Thankfully, it's not like that anymore. But you almost see it have like no gameplay these days.
No, Havoc is a little place in my heart, but you definitely don't see it that often. Obviously being the first newly added gun to Apex back in the beginning, it had the selective fire, but now just turbocharger. All it is just holding left click half the time.
Yeah, 100%.
And compared to all of the other guns, it's, to my knowledge, the damage isn't that much higher than a flatline, or even
I'm not
I don't even know
100%
if
sure,
it's
but I
as
don't
much
think
as the
so.
flatline.
Yeah.
And I just don't think it's that much that worth, especially with the recoil. The recoil probably isn't.
It's one of
quite
the
as
harder
bad as
ones to
the
learn,
flatline,
I'd say.
but it's definitely one of the harder ones to learn. 100%. I would put this in C,
I
like low
agree.
C.
I had it like low C as well. Okay, good.
Yeah.
This gun, along with the Havoc, had its time as well. This is only a few seasons ago where it was ridiculous. I hated this season solely because of this weapon, the Hemlock. The hipfire on this thing was fucking busted. It was actually insane. But they nerfed it, thankfully. And I think it's still a decent gun. It's still pretty strong, but there are definitely other guns in its category rate it, outdo it.
I don't see anyone using this now. I still think it's a very usable gun overall.
I think it's usable, but I feel like if you're going to use the Hemlock, you might as well be using a flatline.
Literally. And you would also... Yeah, I would put this low C as well.
Yep,
The
I agree.
only reason I don't put it in D is it's not completely useless, of course.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. Now this one's gonna be pretty fast, I think. Kraber, I think this instantly just goes S tier. It's game changing. It's not too hard to even use at close range. Its hipfire is insane. Long range, obviously, it's nuts. Medium range, it's nuts. It's an airline reference for a reason.
Literally stupid. Remove it from comp, please, and thank you.
Yeah, 100%. Could not agree more.
But yeah, that gun is... Yeah, let's move on.
Easy, yeah, let's move on. Alright, Longbow. I think it just got a nerf, didn't it? It went from 60 damage back to 55, what it was before it got buffed last season, which was interesting. I didn't think it needed the buff when they actually buffed it to 60 damage. I guess they wanted more people to use snipers for some reason, and then they're like, oh wait, we fucked up, it's too strong, let's put it back to exactly where it was. I think it's one of the better snipers. I think it's arguably probably the best sniper, obviously not including Krabers and stuff. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, definitely. I'd agree with you there, 100%. I think it's also probably one of the more forgiving ones
I agree.
to use. Obviously with the exception of the charge rifle. The longbow, I mean, headshot's good. If you're good enough with it, the fire rate's enough that you can use it as a backup in close quarters as well.
It's got really good hipfire. It's got really good hipfire.
Exactly. I think overall it's a good gun. I would probably... It would almost depend on the map. I'd almost have to tier it based on map. I'm going to say because we've got World's Edge and now we have Stormpoint.
Yep.
These two longer maps and Olympus as well to a degree. I would put it either B, like high B or low A. for me.
I agree with that. I was thinking like low A myself, yeah. Alright, my favorite shotgun personally, the Mastiff. I've actually always loved this gun. Especially back in like, I think it was season like 3, 4, 5 when it was ridiculously OP. Literally 2-tap everybody. But I think it's in a really good spot now. I think the hop up they recently added to it as well. Everyone is sleeping on that hop up because it's hard to find, but it's an insane hop up. I think it's a really good gun. It's a really good spot. Thoughts?
I fully agree. The hop up is definitely, people are sleeping on that for sure.
Because once you get that, it like changes your ability to like 1v3 so much. It's actually insane.
Yeah, 1v3 or any extended close quarters fights, especially, let's say, you know, you literally finish off a fight. You all armor swap. You've now got a team coming in. Your other gun isn't reloaded, but you've got the hop up on that gun. Literally, you know, two shells in, and you've got 4 rounds.
Kill 2 people,
you can kill
basically.
someone.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
yeah, at least one.
At least one person, 100%.
Like that, to me, it's a really good hop up overall, and I definitely put it high A tier.
I agree. Yeah. Especially when you look at like using it on like Gibby, for example, for bubble fighting. It's definitely the best shotgun for Gibby as well.
Yeah, it's very much the middle ground in terms of the shotguns. It's got a bit of range. However, the horizontal spread is kind of weird, so it's sort of hard to hit at mid range if you're trying to finish someone off for some reason, just for that little bit of health. So it falls off there. But for bubble fighting, which later on in higher tier lobbies or just in higher tier lobbies in general, because most of the time, you know, you say your funnel zone, whatever, you're going to be close quarters fighting. Mastiff is so quick and so easy to get that damage off.
Yeah, 100%.
So yeah, I'd easily put that high A tier.
Yeah, I agree. Alright, so for the last few seasons, this gun has been ridiculous. I fucking hate it. Whenever I die to it, I mauled completely.
I literally despise it.
They nerfed it a little bit. I don't think they've nerfed it anywhere near enough, but they definitely nerfed it a little bit. It's ridiculous hip fire. It's ridiculous close range. Very easy to control long range. Thoughts? Is it, after the nerfs, is it S tier or is it still like, you know, probably like A tier?
I don't think it's S tier anymore.
Okay.
Definitely.
It used to be S tier though, did it? Do you reckon?
Yes.
Okay, I think it did. Yeah.
Its hip fire was good. Its ADS was good. I'd put it B tier now.
Yeah, I was saying like high. It's like high B though, I reckon.
Yeah,
I think it's better than Devotion still though.
Yeah, I definitely think it is, just simply because of the ammo,
Charge up time and ammo. Yeah.
Charge up time, etc. Like all of that is really strong, just especially in a long extended fight. Definitely B tier. The other thing as well, it's not a plague anymore, so we're not seeing it every like second.
It's very nice. Even when you play like arenas, for example, it used to be the only weapon that was ever used in arenas, and now it's not even used as much in arenas. It's actually arenas like, even though arenas are still boring, it's still playable now because it's not just L stars everywhere.
Definitely B tier.
Okay, good. I agree. So Mozam's actually interesting. It's got a few buffs over the past few seasons with like, you know, increased cap of bullets, better bullet spread, distance on the spread as well. It actually, with Purple Bolt, it actually has the fastest time to kill of all the shotguns, without headshots being included.
It's definitely slept on to a degree.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like if I get that off spawn, it's not that bad of a weapon to get. Like honestly, it's good, consistent 45 damage every shot. Yeah.
I think because people are just not used to it, they haven't used it all that much.
Yeah, everyone's like, oh, it's the Mozambique. Haha, funny meme, it's terrible.
Yeah, you know, Mozambique, yeah, very good. And
yeah, exactly.
So I'd put it low B for the simple fact that it almost.
Do you reckon it's better than the EVA 8 then, you're saying? So we put EVA 8 C tier, you see.
We did put EVA 8 C tier. We'd have to put it either end of C then, or...
Yeah, I think it's still slightly below the EVA 8, but not much below the EVA 8.
Yeah, they almost suit the exact same purpose, is sort of where I was going to go with.
No, I agree. Same aiming style, relatively, as well.
Exactly. Also, the reload speed on it's really quick.
It's got a fast reload speed, for sure.
Exactly. So...
I think without a bolt, it's probably better than the EVA 8. The EVA 8 is desperate for a bolt.
Yeah, just because the range, too, to be honest.
It's got a lot of range, yeah.
Add more range.
It does, yeah.
And obviously only 3 rounds coming out, so it's a little bit easier to hit.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, I definitely probably just C tier with the Eva.
Okay, I agree. Okay, the Alternator. This actually used to be one of my favorite guns back in the day. Even without, you know, disruptor rounds, I really enjoyed the Alternator. I think it was one of the best guns for like new players to learn on when they got the game as well, because it was easy recoil. It was relatively slow firing, so you could recorrect your aim pretty well. It's got, you know, like I said, good hip fire, easy control. I didn't like that they put it in care package for that reason, because I thought it was good for new players. But it is ridiculously strong with disruptor rounds. Crazy strong, you know, 3-4 bullets, you crack their armor. It's got a lot of ammo. Thoughts?
Yeah, no, I fully agree. And obviously, to be fair, I think being able to actually change off certain sight. Can you still change off sights off?
Yeah, you can change sights and heirloom weapons. Yeah, you can. Yeah.
Definitely right. That addition definitely made the alternator as well, even being a package weapon, that much better because you chuck a 2 times on it as well.
And you're
hitting people
2 times
ages away because it's so easy to control.
Exactly.
So you know, it suits a poke weapon. It's perfectly fine in close quarters. It's definitely fine medium range. Like overall, I'd have to put it in S tier.
Yeah, no,
Like
I agree
at least
completely.
low S tier. Not as good as the Kraber, definitely not, because Kraber's just one shot you're dead by.
Yeah, exactly. But just for
But
running its role within the game, for being that peak damage, being
yeah,
it still
it
does
comes
good
with
damage
enough
at close
ammo
range. Yeah,
from package as well too.
no,
So
I agree.
overall definitely S tier.
Yeah, 100%. All right, probably my most hated weapon, honestly, to use, just because I don't have a trigger finger at all, and I freaking suck with it. But it's got a lot of buffs not recently, but over time, it's got buffs to its fire rate, to its damage that it does per bullet, even to its clip size. The P2020. Honestly, when you pick it up these days, it's not that bad. It's a good gun. It actually does a lot of damage per bullet. It can destroy people if you're good with it.
I think it's great as a startup. I think simply because of its lack of attachments and potentially just obviously long range, like it's really hard.
So you used to like more when
smack
people
on
don't
initial
have good
time.
armors, it's a good gun. But as soon as people
Yeah,
have good
like,
armors and like
great
flatlines
off
and
the
stuff,
bat.
it's just not going to do well.
Yeah, because it's quick ADS as well.
Yeah,
off
it
the
is,
beginning.
definitely.
You can pick it up. You obviously you holster it pretty quickly. You can pick it up pretty quickly. You can immediately get damage off someone. And obviously, there's a lot of RNG in that. I would put it simply, to be fair overall, I'd almost put it like really high D or really like low C, simply
Well-
because its versatility later game doesn't work
Yeah, no, I
compared to
agree
the other
completely.
weapon.
Just because I don't want to put it in D, we'll put it C.
See?
So I genuinely think that every gun in this game now is usable. When the game first came out,
Yeah,
Mozam
true.
would have been like D tier, P2020 probably would have been D tier.
100%.
But like I genuinely think every gun in the game now you get is usable to an extent, especially off start.
Definitely.
Yeah, which is a good
Apex
thing. It's
is
a great thing.
100% one of the best games for that sort of stuff.
No,
in
yeah, it's
terms of
fantastic.
weapon balancing to a degree. Every so often we get one weapon that's like, oh, well, this is.
I mean, yeah,
literally the best.
usually every
The
season there's
L-Star,
one
Evo,
weapon that's
etc.
broken, but yeah, no,
Of
it's good.
course, and every game has that. Sorry, but this, like, I don't know, it's definitely very well balanced. So 100%, yeah.
I agree
Either C
completely.
tier, definitely.
All right,
Peacekeeper.
last of the shotguns, the Peacekeeper. Everyone's favorite when the game first came out. Probably the most satisfying shotgun to use, to be honest. I love
Definitely.
charging up and just two tapping someone. It's super nice. But
Yeah.
where does it rate? You got to compare it to the Mastiff these days, really.
The pellet change made a big difference for the consistency of the damage.
How'd they
on the
change the pellets
Peacekeeper.
exactly?
They just made it bigger. I'm fairly sure.
Yeah, I think
off the patch
that was in the
note.
most recent patch, yeah? Like one of the most recent patches.
Yeah, it was one of the most recent. I think it was literally in the actual big season patch.
No,
And
yeah,
they
I think it
increased
was
the
as well.
pellet size.
Yeah,
I'm
they
not
did.
sure what else they.
I'm pretty sure
increased
that's
off
all
the
they
bat.
did, I think.
Yeah, the pellets hit more, and you're seeing clips floating around of people hitting like the big headshot damages like way more often.
No, yeah,
than with it.
100%.
Like I
You
think
don't get as many like 7s and 9s anymore as well. Now they're like
No,
30s or
yeah,
40s,
you're
which is
getting-
really good. Like it's really important.
overall, I'd either put really high B or low A for the simple fact that I feel like is the Mastiff's DPS output total higher than the PK?
I think it is, but I think it's very, very close.
Yeah, I feel like the PK as well. Obviously, it's a little more punishing than the Mastiff.
Yeah, for sure.
I think I'd put it either right next to the Mastiff in A tier, or easily like the best B tier gun.
No, I think I
overall.
had it in like just below the Mastiff in A tier, like literally just behind it. I think
it has to be in there
honestly, like I
somewhere.
think if you're Gibby, you use Mastiff, but otherwise, I think it just completely depends on your aim style for whether you use Mastiff or PK.
100%.
Yeah. All right.
Headshot damage.
Yeah, no, 100% the headshot damage. Yeah. Prowler.
We could definitely put it A tier. For me, I would put it B tier.
I think
overall.
it's like a high B tier weapon in my eyes as well.
Yeah, I think it's definitely the top in B tier at the moment for what we currently have.
I think something that does like limited as well, like compared to like other guns in its area, I think at like close and medium it's really strong, but the second you want to use it at more range, other guns are just better.
Even medium to a degree
Yeah.
is sometimes awkward in certain areas depending on where you're at.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Obviously, a lot of people used to use it on full auto. So
Actually, the burst is better than better than full
Yeah,
auto.
no,
though.
the
100%.
burst is
The damage
definitely
output is
full
just so much higher.
100%. I
Yeah,
think
okay,
a lot of
good.
people were definitely running around full auto to a degree, mostly M&K players because a lot of them just hate burst.
Yeah, no, agreed.
Yeah, I think definitely high B tier.
Okay, perfect. And the Rampage, I think it's one of the newer guns to come into the game. Newest LMG. Thoughts? It's got a really slow fire rate, but it does a lot of damage, and it never runs out of bullets when you're spraying it. Like literally never.
In my opinion, like it's almost one of the best off-drop guns you can get, simply because that mag is gonna last you for so long.
Like yeah, like
and
literally,
you
if
get
they miss a
stressed
bullet,
loot
you
really slowly.
even though it shoots slow.
Yeah, exactly.
And it does a lot of damage, especially with the headshot multiplier.
You can make up the damage later on by spamming thermites with it. And then
100%. If you
also
put a thermite in
breaking
that
doors
gun, it
with
turns into
too.
one of the best guns. Yeah, no one can hold a door
Yeah.
against you if you have a Rampage as well.
It's just awkward to use.
I agree.
I feel
if
like
like
most
looking at it and
people,
using it,
it's
I feel like it
awkward.
should be really easy to use. But then like when you're actually trying to control it, it shoots so slow that it's just really annoying to use.
Shoot slow. The travel time to me just feels weird. Now, when you chuck a thermite in it, though, for me,
It's insane.
I feel like it smacks, like
Yeah,
absolutely
100%.
smacks. but you've got to have thermite, and
No,
that
I
comes
agree
into
completely.
bag space as well. And then you're not using thermites for utility, etc.
Mhm.
I'd probably put it B tier overall.
I had it in the same spot, so yeah.
Yeah, definitely B tier for me.
RE45. I'm gonna straight put it out there. This is like one of the most satisfying guns in the game just to get a clean one clip with. It feels so
Yeah.
nice, but
It does.
it's just not that great. Yeah.
Yeah, I think like off for me C tier,
Yep. I had it in the same spot.
but it's definitely very satisfying. I would agree. It also just feels nice. All of it feels nice. The reload feels nice. The movement
Yeah, it's
with it feels
it's
nice.
a super nice gun. It's just not that great though.
Yeah, picking up a gold one if with if they had old disruptor stuff on it.
Oh,
Was
it was
fun,
really
but,
strong,
Obviously,
yeah.
it's not a thing anymore. But yeah, overall, I definitely just chuck it in C tier for this.
Yeah.
Probably roughly mid C tier. Behind Eva 8 has to be behind the Eva 8.
Yeah,
of
I
course,
agree.
and behind the Havoc, etc. So.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. All right, Scout, the newest heirloom weapon. Interesting.
It can smack.
It
DPS
can smack. Like if you look back ages ago when it
And-
used to have a 4 to 8 as well, that thing used to,
Yeah.
smack, used to dominate. But
If
these
you're good
days,
with double tap on peaking,
things, I hate double tap. I fucking hate it. But there are a
I
lot of people
love
that like
double
it.
tap.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a double tap fanatic. When it was out and everyone was just like, oh, double tap, no one really used it on G7. Some people used it on the Eva 8. I used it on both. I
Okay.
really like double tap.
I liked it on the
especially
Eva
with
8. I
the 203A.
loved it on the Eva 8. I did not like it on Scout though.
Yeah. For the G7, I really like it overall. 2 or 3 times on that, and you could hit a double heady just because, I hit one headshot, and then the second bullet comes through, you hit a second headshot, you've cracked the person, free Evo shield farm, and the ammo efficiency when it was light is great, but it being a package weapon now
The ammo
is
efficiency kind of is an
generally
issue.
really, it's generally really tough. I would almost put it A tier just for that reason.
Like where in A tier though? Do you think? Is it like a high or is it a low A tier? 'Cause
Oh,
I don't know.
high A tier.
You reckon it's a
because
high A
the damage
tier?
is good.
The damage is just too
damage
good
is
to put it anywhere
nuts.
else.
The
Okay.
damage is nuts. Yeah, I still think it's high A tier. You've just got to be really really comfortable with the shots, and I think you got to be using double tap at least overall, because I feel like the burst damage from it is really really applicable, and
Yeah, no,
just
I feel
getting
that.
off like a crack off it. Also, to a degree, if you've got a swap weapon, etc., any package weapon is going to suit that. I definitely think high A tier.
It's not too bad at close range either. If you're forced to hip fire with it, it's got pretty decent hip fire, and I guess double tap's pretty good to hip fire in as well.
Semi decent hip fire. If you can crouch spam as well,
Yeah, no, 100%.
definitely makes it a lot more accurate.
The Sentinel. It's an interesting gun. Like I feel like they've tried to buff it a few times. They've tried to make it better, but it just I don't know. In my eyes, it's like it actually has the best damage to bullet efficiency out of all the snipers in the game. But
it
I just don't
does.
think it has that great of a spot in the game at the moment.
It's almost like the compound bow to an extent where it's kind of niche. I think with the Sentinel just being that niche of a weapon.
I mean, it does have the
and-
charge up ability, which does increase the damage
Charge
by a
up is
lot,
cool.
especially if you have gold armor, because it's only one cell to do.
Yeah, I just feel like a lot of people, especially in the higher end games, are really reluctant to even give up a cell. Like it's
No,
just
I
a
agree 100%.
single
'Cause
shield.
it's so important to have your shields. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and for sure, it's like okay, cool. I do more damage here. If you get shot while you're trying to snipe as well, you don't have enough. You've lost a cell.
And that's
to a
one cell,
degree,
then plus the
which
cells
is-
you got to use to heal up as well.
Yeah,
That's a lot of like
exactly.
heals you're using. Exactly. Yeah.
And I feel like the longbow definitely trumps it. I would not put this in A tier, that's for sure. I'd barely put it in B tier.
I agree. It's definitely the worst out of all the snipers in my opinion. It's still a good gun. It has a niche spot. It can definitely be used, but I definitely do think it's the worst out of all the snipers.
Yeah,
So like we're gonna go
definitely.
say like low B, high C.
Yeah,
I'm gonna put it in C
feeling
personally. I'm definitely gonna
C,
chuck it in
yeah,
C.
I'm
Yeah.
thinking C as well, right next to the bot check.
Yep. Agreed. Alright. The Spitfire though, is it just instantly an S? Is it just
hate this thing.
it's insane.
Yeah,
Like the thing is, you think
It-
about how insane it is right now. You're like, yep, that's the perfect care package
Or-
weapon. It's insane when you get it. Everyone's gonna take it. If you think back, like this Spitfire used to be exactly how it is now on ground loop.
literally, yeah.
It's
on
amazing
ground
to
loop, it
think
was-
that.
I think definitely S tier for sure.
Yep. Agreed.
It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, 100%. Probably one of the highest, I guess, risk guns to use, the Wingman. It's very rewarding if you hit your shots, but at the same time, if you miss, you're kind of screwed. Thoughts?
And ammo efficient. as
It's
well.
very ammo efficiency, and one of the best things about
Yeah.
something we didn't mention about shotguns, for example, inviting them that definitely goes to the Wingman as well, is it frees up your backpack to carry more utility, carry more grenades, etc. That is a really good thing that goes with the Wingman.
Mhm.
So where does it
I-
rank though?
It's a weird one. I think it's almost too versatile to a degree.
Oh, because it's good at every range as well, 100%.
Yeah, like as long as you're accurate, you're okay. You don't have to always have a big scope, and half the time you can. If you're okay with the 2 times, you can put 2 times for truly.
Yeah, I mean, you
long-range
can use
stuff.
2 times, you can use iron sights, you can use 1 dot. Yeah, it's usable at all.
Travel time is really easy to get used to
Yeah,
as well.
100%.
The gun, it's like any other Magnum gun from every other game, but quicker and also fast ADS. So if you're really accurate on the heady and you're aiming generally,
It's
neck
got good
height,
strafe
you're gonna-
speed as well. Yeah.
It does. It's really easy to move around with. I definitely would put it in A tier. tier because it's also great to pick
Yep,
up off the
I
ground.
agree. I can't put it
Overall,
anywhere else
it's
than
just
A
a
tier.
great weapon. Like, I definitely an A tier for me.
Yeah, 100%. Interesting gun. So I don't know if you watch much of like pro players like in NA and that kind of stuff, but a lot of them have been. Well, they went through a phase end of last season where they were all using the 30-30 because it was a big gun that a lot of Asian pros used. And then a few of the Asian pros started playing with the NA pros, and they all started using the 30-30. I never really liked
think,
it, but if you actually look at the stats for the gun, it's really good. And then you can even put shadow caps on it, and it's better than an Evo 8 now if it has shadow caps.
Really?
Yeah, it's basically better than Evo 8.
That's actually nuts.
Yeah.
To be honest, I never use this gun all that often.
Either do I. I
do
hate
see
it personally.
Plenty of people in scrims testing it and using it though. Again, for heavy ammo efficiency,
Yeah,
etc.
it's extremely
It's good
efficient.
for poking. Obviously, you can charge up each bullet just by ADSing. There's no resource consumption there, like we were talking with the Sentinel.
For example, yeah.
And the shadow caps definitely makes it pretty strong as well. I think foregoing any like personal views on the weapon, I'd have to put it in B.
No, I had it in the same spot. I think it's B still. I think it has its spot, but it's kind of
Yeah.
like a niche spot that once again that it has.
It-
'Cause I feel
once
like if
again,
you
yeah,
have the
but-
30-30 though, you're kind of gonna, if you find a flat line, you might swap it out most of the time, or Wingman, you might swap it
Definitely
out.
would.
Yeah,
You definitely would. Wingman, semi-debatable depending on the kind of player you are.
very
and
aim
what
dependent,
the-
style dependent.
Yeah, I feel like 30-30 is definitely B tier. So yeah, 100% agree there. I feel like any heavy weapon is replaced by a flatline. So yeah, I think definitely B tier.
Yeah,
Because its
perfect.
stat back it up so well.
Yeah, no. Alright, Triple Take. We haven't seen many scrims on the new map yet, or ever since Triple Take's come back to ground loot and stuff, but I feel like this gun is going to dominate comp scene and high rank. Thoughts?
Yeah, it was obviously really consistent for the longest time when it was
Yep.
on ground loot for a little while. Obviously it received various changes here and there. Overall, it's definitely a very, very strong gun.
So, it's good at close range. Everyone jokes that it's a shotgun. It's good at medium range.
Shotgun.
You drop it 3 times or
Yeah.
2 to 4 on it now these days, and it's good at long range as well. Its
Again,
iron
another
sight's
charge up
good.
mechanic without having to
Use resources.
use resources like at all, and makes it adaptable from shotgun to not shotgun.
Yeah,
really.
100%.
I think A tier definitely. I mean, it's really easy to see just by the fact that the second this thing was ground loot, it's all over the place. It's
Yeah,
it's
100%.
fine to pick up off the bat as well. It's quick and easy to use. You crouch shoot it with hip fire, you're gonna hit really easy corner peaks.
And if you get a
because of
purple,
the
if you get a
spread on
purple mag on it, you can have 9 shots in it as well, which is a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah, the ammo efficiency is nuts.
Yeah, legit.
So, and being able to craft energy ammo, and you keep this in mind as well with crafters, obviously it crafts a full stack.
And it's only
when you
10. It's only
actually-
10 crafting to craft it as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now you compare it to the snipers, and overall, yeah, the triple tech's using more rounds, more rounds per shot.
Yeah, 3 rounds per shot.
I'm fairly sure you're still making more ammo with the energy than you
No,
would be
I
if
think you
were to
definitely
take
would be,
sniper and
yeah.
make it crafting. So, I think for that it has to go in A, and it needs to go overall slightly in front of the longbow, maybe.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, completely.
Yeah.
The gun that was ridiculously broken when it came out, it sucked to verse. It was absolutely awful. I think it's one of the easiest guns to use in the game. I guess you have to be able to track a little bit. What are your thoughts?
I fully agree. Definitely one.
There is the big issue with it, especially like, not looking at like just general gameplay, but when you go look at higher gameplay, like, high ranked or competitive, the issue that you have to peak for so long when using it, is that too much of a big issue to rank it highly, or thoughts?
If you're shooting players that are generally most people in Pro League obviously just very most
Yep,
of the time
100%.
they're not gonna shit themselves if a charge rifle comes out of nowhere. They're always ready for it. And if someone's got a longbow and they re-peek you and just hit you, they've done more damage to you half the time.
Yeah, 100%.
It's definitely not better than longbow. I think overall, like if you're talking like ease of use, then yeah, okay, it's incredibly easy to use, but I feel like it just caps out. It just caps out
100%,
way too
100%,
early.
yeah.
It's definitely worse than the Sentinel in my opinion. Because like even if you
Just because
take
of like
out,
the ability to have
shield
like
and
peak
stuff,
damage and stuff.
yeah, just the peak damage. If you're sitting there charge rifling, you're shining a big ass beam across the map. Everybody
Very
sees
true.
that. You're
Yeah.
literally an actual like lighthouse. You're dead. Someone's gonna look at you. Also, majority of the community hates people using charge rifles.
Oh,
They're gonna shoot
100%.
you.
Oh yeah, 100%.
straight
If I get
away.
shot by a charge rifle, if it's just pubs or even in ranked, I'm instantly inting at that
It's
person
just
and killing them.
Pure anger.
Yeah,
like
legit.
you're dead. So it's
100%.
definitely worse than the Sentinel. Just for that, it's got to be low C
C2.
tier.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Alright, last weapon in the game. Honestly, I'm just gonna straight up say, I think it's one of the best weapons in the game. You'll see a lot of people use it. It's ridiculously strong. Hipfire is crazy good. Huge mag. Damage is good. Thoughts on the Vault?
Definitely A tier.
Yep,
It
100%.
is.
Is it like top of A tier though? Because it's pretty easy recoil as well. It's not too hard to control.
Yeah,
medium
it is
range.
pretty easy recoil, and with the crafting change with energy ammo and all that, I personally would put it above the car.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's above the car as well.
Because it's just more versatile.
The damage might be slightly
in
higher on the
terms of
car, but the
range.
Vault just offers you more.
Yeah, the Vault's way easier to use. You're gonna hit
100%.
like so many more shots. The other thing is obviously energy ammo, energy mags. It's just another energy gun you can throw into the mix, and
Yeah,
neither
definitely.
the Havoc nor the Devotion are going to be using. You're not really going to have them in higher level.
Yep,
Triple take is
100%.
the only other energy ammo, and it's really efficient with energy ammo anyways. And with the crafter thing, it's really good. So that got rid of the previous issue the Vault had, and I think it's definitely A tier, or definitely better than the car.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, overall a really, really good weapon.
Okay, not too bad. So I guess at the end of the day, what we're saying is the devs have actually got it right with the heirloom weapons. You know, 4 of the best guns in the game are arguably the heirloom weapons, especially the Kraber, the Alternator, and the Spitfire. G7's pretty close up as well. Every gun in the game is relatively usable, but I guess it does go back to everyone's favorite with the, the Flatline, the Wingman, the Carbine, them dominating the game, being really strong. And after the shotgun changes, Mastiff, PK are still the best shotguns, and the Eva's been kind of demoted down to being one of the worst.
Definitely.
Yeah, okay. Well, thank you for helping me out. Thank you for coming and talking about all the weapons today. It was a pleasure talking to you, dude. Hey, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Now, if you didn't know, I actually do post some exclusive videos over on Facebook. That's right, I have a Birno Facebook account. And if you guys want to see some exclusive videos, over 20 exclusive videos that you won't see anywhere else, go check out my Facebook. It's pretty cool. On that note, I also have a Discord, I have a Twitter, I have a TikTok, I have an Instagram. All the links are below. Feel free to go check them all out. And hope you enjoyed the vid, guys.